Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to everyone who's live streaming with us again today too. I'm so delighted that you've chosen to be with us. And it has changed how we are, right? The live stream has changed how we choose to present. Yes, Makari loves applauding already. But it doesn't change who we are at core. Who we are is easily, though, sometimes tossed about. And I love this song because it says, fear is all we have to lose, and the dream is ours to choose. Right? Dream is ours to choose. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have never been in this before. Right? Yes, there's been troubles in the world. There have been heartache in the world. There's been tons of suffering in the world. But the language spoken in the mass media, in our political dialogue, for me, seems untenable. It's like a place I've never been before. And I talked specifically about it last week, about us and about claiming our moral leadership, right? To taking back the word moral. That because we are spiritual beings, we have a moral center based on our spiritual principles. And that I'm not afraid to use the word moral because it's important that we are anchored to those kind of principles. The morals we got from our upbringing, from our families, from our faith, from the schooling we had, from the scriptures we all listened to and read and studied, wherever you came from to find yourself in this place, those moral principles are the bedrock on which we can stand. And as Jesus put it to Peter, you are the rock on which I build my house. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't waver, that we don't stumble, because Peter was no example of complete steadfastness. Let's just put it that way. Steadfastness. Like all of us, he fell down. But the principle that we come back to is our moral teachings. And in this moment in our country, in the world, I think we have an incredible opportunity to step up and fill the void with what we want it filled with, right? We called this our year of manifestation, 2018. Our year of manifestation, what we were going to bring in the world. And 2 weeks ago, I talked to you about that. What is it that you really want to manifest? And what is it that you want to bring into the world? I asked some of you to send me those, and you've been sending what's been creating in your life this year. And it's amazing what's going on here. But these last weeks of pain, of suffering, of hate, spilled across our country have made me realize that what I really want to manifest more than anything is a world that works for everyone. Right? And to manifest the leadership that can espouse my values. To manifest leadership means to be it, to be the leaders that the world so desperately needs right now. I ran across this quote. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Okay? Leadership is the capacity to have some obscure vision and turn it into a manifest reality in the world. So we have been holding a vision here in this community for a couple of years now. And our vision statement is, we are a vibrant spiritual community, honoring the divine presence in all and radiating the unity message through loving service. So let's break this apart. We are a vibrant spiritual community. Yes, we are. No matter the size, we are a vibrant spiritual community. We have so much going on here, and we are reaching across the world now to spread this message. I'm going to go back. Honoring the divine presence in all. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? It's really a pretty phrase. I honor the divine in me salutes the divine in you. Namaste. Do that in front of the political person you vilify. Do that in the face of abject hatred and vitriol. Do that to your family who disagrees with your politics. As I can attest to, it ain't easy. It just ain't easy. But I keep trying to do it. I keep trying to honor the divine presence, realizing that that person who I disagree with is not intrinsically evil. They're just making a choice I'm not making. And until I can have a conversation with them, I am not going to heal the world. I'm not going to heal the world. And I'm about healing the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of playing small, right? I want the world to work for everyone. I am tired of looking at the paper, and as I wrote to you all this week, to have to mourn a seven-year-old girl in Yemen because she couldn't afford to go the 15 miles to the hospital. And I'm not saying that I can solve the problem, but I'm saying we can. I'm saying we can. And I talked about moral in this way. Moral is connected to the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character, right? But I also said it this way: holding or manifesting higher principles for proper conduct. So we have been really good at holding principles for higher conduct. But have we been good at manifesting them? Have we been good at being leaders of it? Leaders of great character, of moral fiber, of moral fortitude. When I was studying to be a prayer chaplain, they taught us about helping others with a story that I don't know if we still teach it to the prayer chaplains, but we're teaching it today. And it really helped me immensely to understand. It's like they taught it in this analogy. You know, if you're walking along the road and you come across a hole, a ditch, and there's someone in the bottom of the ditch crying for help, you don't jump down into the ditch with them, right? Because then there's two of you down there. You may be still holding moral high principles, but you're both now trapped in the hole. What you do is you find a way to help them out, but you don't go down to where they are, right? And it's tempting for a lot of us to go meet fire with fire, to return the hate for more hate, to return the lack with more lack. They're withholding from me, so I'm going to withhold from them. I will not give them love, they don't deserve it, right? And in our politics and in our secular life, we think somehow that that's okay. But here's the thing about spiritual principles. They're not just meant for when you're here at church on Sunday. They're not just meant for this spiritual community. They're meant to be practiced in every aspect of your life. And as one of my first ministers, Reverend Carlos Wayne Anderson, used to tell us almost every Sunday, you get no points for being nice to people here today. It's easy. It's easy to be nice to the people here at Unity on Sunday. Go out on the subways in New York and be nice to the people, right? Go out to the streets here and be nice to the people, right? Get on BART and the last train and be nice to the people, right? That's where the spiritual rubber meets the road and we get to be the leaders. So what I long for, yes, I'll take that applause. Right? What I long for is where we meet hostility with love. that we are the leaders. Because leaders can come from everyone. It does not matter title. You can be a leader in every aspect of your life. And often the most powerful and pervasive leadership comes from the ground up, comes from the source. So when we can step into a knowing and an understanding that I am the one making the choice. And when someone says something that belittles someone else, I will not belittle them back, but I will stand up for my spiritual principle. It will stand up for the divinity of each and every individual. I will stand up for what's right. Because as I shared with you last week also, this is entirely and even more true today than it was when Dr. King said it. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. We are not going to win by joining in the mud fight. We are not going to win by jumping in the pit with those who want to pit us against each other, pun intended, but to make us wary of each other and say us and them, and those people are out to hurt you and harm you, and they don't share our values. Well, those people is a construct meant to make us feel weak and scared. There is no us and them. There is only one power and one presence active and working in the universe and in our lives. God. Right? There is only one power and one presence active and working in the universe and in our lives. God. When we stop giving all the authority to people that don't hold up the highest principles and take it back for ourselves in a loving way, we become the leaders the world needs. So think about it right now. What small act of love and kindness could you do in your life? Could you do that would lift the entire planet? What small act of standing up for principle could you take on your social media, in an email, in an interaction? When I watched Oprah, the biggest minister in the United States, talk this week, she told a story, an excellent and eloquent story. How many people saw her tell that story about the man voting? So she told a story, so I'm going to tell it for you, for those of you who didn't say it. She told a story, I can't remember his name, but her first minister was named Otis, Reverend Otis something. Can't remember, but he told the story of his father. His father, on a Tuesday morning for election day, got on his suit, his tie, his dress shoes, and he walked 6 miles to the polling place that he was told to go to. 6 miles. When he got to that polling place, he was told that you are at the wrong place. You're supposed to be at such and such polling place on the other side of town. So he said, okay, and he walked another 6 miles to the next polling place, where he was told, oh, no, this is not your polling place. Your polling place is at the Reading School down on the other side. So once again, he said, thank you. And in his suit and his dress shoes, he walked another 6 miles, bone-tired, to the next polling place, where he was finally told, yes, this is the right place, but you're too late. Voting has ended. So when she votes, she says she votes for Otis Sr., who never made it to the next election day, but he made himself go. So because he didn't get to cast his vote, she casts it for him. And leadership is making choices like voting and taking the hard steps because it does matter. It does. It is a right that is not granted to everyone. All the women here in the room, probably your grandmothers or your great-grandmothers didn't have the right to vote, right? You're sitting here with a privilege and a right that you may choose or choose not to exercise. But I'm telling you, the choice not to exercise it has consequences in your own personal leadership, your own personal example. I'm trying to demonstrate that to our teenage son. Well, no longer a teenager. He's 20 now. Right? But to understand that your voice matters, especially to the youth, right? It's like I say to him, if you don't vote, all us old geezers get to choose, right? And if the youth decide not to vote, or if any of us decide not to vote, the choice is left to someone else. And I really challenge anyone to tell me that the last election for president, which was decided by 80,000 votes in 3 states, we would have had a completely different result, didn't have consequences. So regardless of whether we're in a state that counts, regardless of whether you think your vote doesn't have an influence, it does. Because by making the steps necessary to exercise your right, you are stepping into your moral authority and your spiritual leadership. You are making choices, and I would encourage you to make choices for leaders, political leaders, that reflect your spiritual values, that reflect kindness, that reflect love, that reflect the wholeness of the planet, and that reflects that there are no borders when you look at the earth from space. There are no states, there are no countries, there is only earth. And what do we teach here? There is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in our lives. God. God. So in Republicans, in Democrats, in each other, in the Saudis, in the Yemenis, in people in conflict all over the world, in our Jewish brothers and sisters, in the white supremacists who feel so much fear and anger and hatred at what's happened to them. We can feel compassion to the people who have suffered long times for justice and righteousness to bend towards them. We can feel compassion for our own soul's longing. We can feed it. We can step up and be the leaders that the world needs. Leadership has many components. It is not about who's elected. It's not about who has the job. Leadership is about communication, listening. Right? Leadership is about passion. And leadership is about principles. Leadership is about integrity. Integrity. Imagine integrity. To do what you say. To be honest about what you're saying and why you're saying it. To not have to dog whistle or dog bullhorn or to call anyone out. Period. Let's not talk about our opponents. Let's talk about our values. Let's not talk down to people that don't disagree with us, but talk about why we value what we do. I value a world that works for all. All. Because I know that that is the spiritual rock that my life is anchored in. The unity teachings that saved and transformed my life are not bound to race, to age, to gender, to nationality, to any of those principles, things. They're not principles. They're the color of our skin. They're the things on the outside, as Misa sang in that beautiful opening chant. I am not the mistakes I made in the past. Who? I am not. And if I can hold that for me, because I've done some awful stuff. I'm not here because I was a saint my whole life. I'm here because I wasn't. And I learned by the pain of my own sins. Understanding what we mean by sin here is missing the mark. And then I was not punished by some God up in heaven for my sins, but punished by my sins. In the life I was leading was filled with pain and separation and anxiety. Today, I want to step into the authority, and I want all of us to step into the authority to be the leaders of our principles with integrity and honest communication, with purpose and passion, and with humility. They're both possible in the same moment. They are. To be passionate, full of integrity, and humble. Knowing that we will make mistakes. Knowing that there is another truth from another perspective that we can be open to. And I know many of you are about that. But what I'm doing today is continuing my call for us in this election season to shift what is. Because what is no longer acceptable. Right? Is it? Is what is no longer acceptable to you? No. So how do we change that? Where do we change that? Here. Right here. That you are the ones that we have been waiting for. I am the one that I have been waiting for. As we each stand up with integrity and purpose and passion, that we can be the leaders who shift the world to a place of love first, of compassion for our fellow beings, and with the principles of abundance, that the more we give, the more we receive, right? That is one of our fundamental teachings, right? As you give, so you will receive. So this may sound political, and there was an irony. We tried to post this on Facebook last week when I talked about as you give, you receive, and that we should have open borders. We should talk, not totally open borders, but organized borders, and we should welcome people for the diversity and the richness they will bring to our country. And Facebook wouldn't allow us to post it because it was political. And I had to laugh. We were having a conversation in the office, and I said, fine. We will deal with this next week. But I actually live in this country, and I have a right to speak my mind. There's always a pendulum swinging, and I refuse to get mad at Facebook either, because they're just trying to figure it out like all of us, right? But this will not be silenced. This will not be shut down. The more we give, the more we receive. So as we let ourselves give to people in need, if we help others, we receive tenfold. That's true for me personally. It's true for this as a community. We practice tithing in everything we do. And it's true for our country and our world. As we give, we receive. As we give, we get more. So if we apply those principles into our political life too, we can see wholeness. We can see health. And I know that we will get back tenfold. These are not easy things I ask us to do. They are monumental, but they're important. They're important that each and every one of us step into our leadership. So I invite you to disagree with me. I invite you to lovingly come talk to me about it. I invite you to question everything. Because what I am inviting is you to step into your wholeness. What I'm inviting is to you to step into your moral authority, because all of us together change the equation. All of us together bring our spiritual knowing to the world who needs it. Let's take that to our time of meditation. Let's take that understanding to within us.